What's up, everybody? Anthony here, Empire Music, empiremusic.com. Excited to bring this video to you because little different format, although we've done these in the past. Normally I'm always showing you, I'm showcasing singular kind of products here. So today we have a cool comparison video. If you follow all the Fender products, what's just come out, always kind of a big launch with Fenders when they launch kind of this series. The Player 2 has just come out, so I'm holding a P bass here. Player 2 is the kind of second iteration from the Player series. Player 1, we can call it now, maybe, since this was the first one. And we still have these in stock, although at a greatly reduced price. If you're interested, 412-343-5299. Get you a really nice deal on these Player 1 basses or guitars. But figure, this is a great opportunity to show you. I'm not even really showing you differences in specs because there's not a whole lot of them. The cool thing that we get a chance to do is compare this fretboard with this fretboard, right? Pau Ferro, and they're back to Rosewood on here. Very divisive topic out in, if you fall through the abyss of bass forums out there, which I occasionally have found myself doing. Also, take long breaks from those at times too, especially in the industry that I work in here. So, you know, Pau Ferro got so much hate when it came out, and it replaced Rosewood, right? Mostly, I believe, out of scarcity. You know, they just weren't able to source it as readily or as affordably, we'll call it. The flip side of that, well, not really the flip side, it was getting a lot of hate. It shouldn't have, because there are I've said this before, some very boutique bass manufacturers. We're talking 5-digit price tags that use Pau Ferro, and it's a really nice sounding wood. But they're back to Rosewood, using a slab Rosewood board on it. But check it out, like alder body's the same, the pickup's the same, the bridge is the same, the neck profile's the same, you have modern C on that. The fret wire's the same. Rolled edges on the fretboard here. So it is a bit more comfortable as we get into this, you know, this edge here. I'll say this about the Player series, kind of really towards the end, I noticed some, just on the floor showing it to customers, some sharper than normal fret edges, or fretboard edges, not so much the frets, the fretboard. But this is an older Players here, or at least probably one of the last ones we got, and this has a pretty smooth edge to it. But you can definitely tell the difference here. That's cool. Other than that, that's it. So it's like Rosewood and rolled edges, man. That's really all we're talking about. And you know, nut width is the same, tuners are the same. There were some more changes on the guitar side of things, but I'll let Justin and Joe's expertise on the guitar side kind of speak to that. Justin does have a lot of videos out there on the Player 2 series. So really what we're comparing here is the sonic properties of Rosewood versus Pau Ferro. Now on paper, Rosewood's supposed to be warmer, Pau Ferro's a little bit brighter. Pau Ferro, from my experience, and I think, again, on paper this kind of holds true, Pau Ferro sits in between maple and Rosewood. So it sort of splits the difference, and there's a tonal characteristic to that that's a big plus. But there's nothing like the look of Rosewood, especially when you start seeing it against particular finishes. You know, the red's cool, but when you see the dark Rosewood against like the Daphne blues, and in the Player 2 series, like an aquatone blue, the Hialeah yellow, the birch green, I can imagine, God, I'm saying those, they might not even be available with the Rosewood boards. But you know, the lighter finishes just look really cool with Rosewood. But let's talk about the tonal properties of it, right? So I'd be interested to see what you guys out there hear, how you perceive it. Also, what your personal experience is if you've had a chance to compare Rosewood with Pau Ferro. Let's just dive into a little bit of playing, and we'll kind of, we'll talk through it together, right? So here we go. Player 2 series, Rosewood board. Do a little bit of fingerstyle, tone all the way up. All right, back now with player 1. So we got the Pau Ferro fretboard on that. All right, back with player 2. So back to Rosewood now. We're gonna go a little bit higher up the neck, and it's always interesting to hear some of the tonal variation, even just within the bass, as we start to move up the fretboard a little bit. All right, back with Pau Ferro. All right, so back with Rosewood. So now, rather than staying kind of in some isolated spots on the neck, we'll move up and down, full volume, full tone. Nothing's changed position-wise, just the fretboard wood. All right, then back to Pau Ferro, player 1, up and down the neck. so back to Rosewood with a pick, roll some tone off, about 90%. All right, and back with Pau Ferro. All right, now back with Rosewood, just a little bit of like thumb techniques on there, so some palm muting and a little bit of like slap playing on that. All right, so putting these instruments A, B, right through their paces. Again, always interested as to what kind of the general consensus is out there based off of what you heard, obviously depending on the device that you're listening through. But my interpretation, they're both really, really nice, and it really does solidify, doing this video solidifies my opinion that I had going into it, whether that's biased or not, because I had already kind of had a strong opinion on it, and I think I'm in a pretty knowledgeable position about it. I've played tons and tons and tons of instruments, and I mean, really, majority of them being Fenders at this point in my life. And it is just that. You do, to me, have the warmer overall sound out of the Rosewood. There's no doubt about it. The Pau Ferro, though, like, in some ways, is a more versatile sound, but in being that, it's a little bit nondescript, if that makes sense. It's like, and again, I know I said there's some very high-end manufacturers that use Pau Ferro and they make amazing basses, but every one of those manufacturers also does maple, ebony, or rosewood. I think there's a reason for it. I do think there is some, if a customer came in and said, I solely want the most versatile, fretboard wood, yeah, you could probably make the argument for Pau Ferro at that point. But I think if you're picking a tonal kind of center for your instrument to kind of hang around in, having the option of rosewood back in is a pretty big plus. You could pick between rosewood and maple. No need to kind of split the difference on it. Visually, no doubt about it, rosewood obviously wins that battle to me all day long. But, sonically, there is, I say this a lot about acoustic guitars. There's always a focal point for where, the tone and the volume really come from. And I find that with, with maple, obviously, it's in that like upper mid-range, that like bitiness. Still get great low end out of it. But there's a clarity and a crystalline kind of quality to a maple fretboard, specifically like a one-piece maple neck, which I love. Whereas Pau Ferro seems to have like that upper mid-range, a little bit, like that's where it's like pushed at to me. It's very focal in the mid frequencies to me. Where Pau Ferro, or where Rosewood is certainly more scooped out, where we're getting brightness right from the attack, but we're getting tons of like billowy, soft, warm kind of low end out of those notes. Now, obviously all that depends on how you attack. Slapping, I think, is less prevalent with some of that stuff. Playing with a pick, as terrible as I am with it, I could totally notice a vibe change sort of with the instrument there. So I hope that, I don't know if that was answering any questions, but I hope it just proves the point that there's still a lot of value in a Pau Ferro fretboard, but I do feel, in my opinion, the superior wood is gonna be rosewood in that case. So Player 2 series, Player 1 series, just a quick comparison. Really, we're taking a look at the neckwoods here. Any questions at all, feel free to call me at the shop, 412-343-5299. You can email me directly, anthony@empiremusic.com. Great deals to be had while at the time of filming on these Player series. Player 2s we have moving forward. A lot of that stuff is in stock. Very, very few Players left in the shop. Again, call, reach out, whatever you need. We're here to help. Thanks for watching.